Hello and hi everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you to session 5 of Lean Forward series. I'm truly delighted to be your host today. This series has been very special because it's shaped with you, by you. We have already completed 4 successful sessions attended by over 200 plus participants, and the feedback has been absolutely inspiring. Honestly, this journey wouldn't have been possible without your energy, your comments, and your active involvement. So thank you all for being an amazing part of this community. And for anyone who may have missed previous sessions, you can still catch up by watching the recordings on our YouTube channel. The link has been shared in the chat box. Today's session is special because not only it is built on your feedback, it's also designed to be more engaging and interactive. That means it's not just listening, and you'll be sharing, reflecting, and even taking part in some quick activities. So please stay active in the chat and let's make this a two-way conversation. Before we begin, a quick reminder about how we will keep things flowing smoothly today. If you would like to speak, please keep your comments concise, around 30 to 40 seconds. If you go beyond that, I'll gently raise a flag to help us stay on track. The goal is to make sure everyone gets a fair chance to contribute. Now, on to our theme for today, leadership. This is more than leadership. It's about the shift leaders must make to stay relevant and effective in today's world. Leadership is no longer just about authority, it's about adaptability, transformation, and the courage to change direction when the world demands it. And now it's my honor to introduce our speaker, Marine Aves. Marine brings deep experience and insight to the leadership transformation, and today she will be guiding us through the concept of leadership, what it means, why it matters, and how each of us can embrace it in our personal and professional journeys. So let's give a warm virtual welcome to Marine and dive right into the exciting session on leadership. Marine,
Thank you so much for that intro and for sharing the rules. That's really, really helpful. So hopefully we'll make this super engaging, but also stay mindful of time today. So hello, everybody. Welcome back to all of those people who are joining for the second, third, fourth, fifth time. Thank you for keep coming back. And hello, a new hello to everybody who is, here for the first time today. And hopefully we get to know you. So do engage. All right. So I'm super excited about today. Like Misha said, today we've changed the format a little bit. We're going to make it more engaging and exciting. And let's see where we move from there. So I'm just going to start sharing the slides and we will start. I need a few thumbs ups to make sure that that my slides are visible. All right. Thank you, Nadeem, for that. All right. So let's begin. Okay. So interestingly, that's what we're going to do first. We're going to start with a little activity. So we're going to, let you speak and, get your energy up before I come in. So I'm going to request the admin to split you into groups of 3 in the breakout room. So please go into when you get the invite, click on the notification, and you'll be taken to the breakout room. It's going to be about 3 people per room, and you have about 6 minutes. So the admin will set a 6-minute timer, and you will be called back after that. And what I want you to discuss, and please make sure that everybody gets to get some speaking time. So maybe limit to 2 minutes per person. And I want you to think about when you hear the word leadership, what comes to your mind? You can express yourself in words, what words come to your mind, or what sentence or what concept comes to your mind. So again, keep your responses sharp and crisp so that everybody gets a chance. So good luck, and I'll see you in 6 minutes. or a liability. So, for example, there is somebody who could be very good at decision making. That's their strength. But the minute they start using their decision making in a context where it starts affecting other people negatively, then it becomes a liability. For example, maybe because they know they're so good at decision making, they always end up making decisions for everybody. They don't give a chance for somebody else to brainstorm or make a decision. Maybe in the name of efficiency, they dominate the room and said, oh, I know that I'm a really good decision maker, so, let me decide that. As a leader, if we overlook or overextend our capabilities and strengths, they become our liabilities, more so for other people. So, as leaders, we need to be more mindful of this. The other thing we need to be very, very mindful of is our blind spots. So, blind spots can be in two ways. One, again, these could be our behavior patterns that we exhibit. So, blind spot, think about it when you're driving a car. What's a blind spot? Blind spot is when you're going straight and you don't see something. So, as a leader, your blind spot is something in your behavior that you do that others know that you're doing it, but you don't know it or you don't see it. Even when and the way to solve this is for you to ask people for their feedback very, very routinely. So, for example, I'll give you example of Steve Jobs. Wonderful leader, right? We have books written about him. We have examples, case studies done on him. But one of his blind spots that people now say was that he was very aggressive. He was a very aggressive leader and innovator, and he used to push his ideas forward without taking into account other people's ideas. He probably never knew it. Everybody else in the room noticed that about him, but he probably did not know that about him. So that is a blind spot. The other kind of blind spot is your emotional reactions. So we might react in negative ways in a room or with a group. We think that's okay. We think we're doing that because we're being efficient, we're being good leaders, we're keeping everybody motivated, but it's having a negative impact on people around us. And we are not aware of that negative impact. That's also a blind spot. Mindset. You need to be very aware of what mindset do you bring to the table, to the surface as a leader. We're going to look at mindset a little bit today. So, put a pin in it and circle back to that. And then lastly, very, very important, think about it today. What values do you associate with you as a leader? And you don't need to lead a team, even if you're leading yourself. Often we don't stop and think, what are our values that we go by? So values are like a compass for our behavior. Every decision, every behavior can go through this value system of ours, and it helps us proceed and decide what is the best way forward if we map them against our values. All right, so I want you to share in the chat, what word would you now like people to associate with you when they think of you as a leader? Based on what I now talked about, if a new word is coming up for you, it could be in terms of strength, it could be in terms of what somebody else thinks about you. So think about it like this. If I went and asked somebody around you in your team and I said, can you give me one word that helps you describe person XYZ as a leader, what do you think is that one word they would choose? So please put that in the chat. I encourage everybody to do this because this is one example of, so this is, of course, you are doing it. You are thinking of what words people would associate with you. But I encourage all of you to go back today and ask a few people from your team the same question. And then see what words they come up with. Are they similar to the words that you thought about yourself, or you thought people think, or are they different? And that is one way to reveal your blind spots. That is one way for you to receive feedback and outward in awareness as to what kind of a leader you are. So we're going to think of Leadershift, changing the way we think about leaders, being different kinds of leaders in 3 different ways. So the first one is perspective. How do we think of leadership? What's our opinion, our outlook, our mindset towards it? So I'm going to do that through a range of visuals. And I want you to take the visual in. And I want one person to share, whoever can come off mute first. What do you think the picture means? And please limit your answer to about 30 to 40 seconds. Everybody else can put it on the chat. What does the visual say to you? How are you making sense of the visual?
Supportive or motivated.
So I'm going to draw a comparison between what is actually a leader versus a boss or a manager. So we're going to understand leader through that lens.
May I add something, ma'am?
Yes, please. Go for it.
Thank you so much for your kindness. In fact, this is the difference between the leaders and the managers. Normally, managers say go, and leaders suggest or guide their people to let's go. So this is the
Absolutely.
main difference.
Wonderful. So a boss directs from above and a leader walks beside you. That is the key difference. The key difference is between commanding and collaborating. So a leader who says go tends to stand at a distance, commands from a distance, wants results out of you, expects, performance out of you, but without getting involved and without giving you the support. But a leader, a true leader, when he or she uses the language let's go, there's an element of support in it, there's an element of trust in it, there's an element of shared ownership, that let's do this together. I'm not going to give you an order, you do it, and then I'm going to question you, but we both are responsible, we both can behave as owners of this project. Awesome. Next photo. How do you read this photo? What is the key message that you're getting out of here? Again, everybody can put it on the chat, and one person can come off mute and share. And by the way, before you come off, there was an announcement that Nadeem made, and Misha would repeat that right at the end, that starting today, we're going to make a note of everybody who's sharing and participating in different ways. And by the end of the series, they're going to get a special prize. So that is your motivation to, other than your self-learning, that is another motivation to share. All right.
If I
You
may,
have your hand raised. Yes, go for it.
if I may, the boss or a manager takes the advantage of the skills of the team and gets the reward of the success, while the leader empower people, the team members to become leaders. So good leaders, they make leaders. They ensure succession, while the bosses ensure, they create barriers so that their job is, secure, and the leaders make them, themselves dispensable. Rather, bosses try to make
Yeah.
themselves indispensable.
Very good. Well done. Akbar, I know you have your hand raised, but I'll take you to the next photo. That is brilliant. That's exactly what it is. A manager or a boss or a traditional leader seeks to gain from others, but a true leader grows others. That's the key difference. And when you look at the word empowerment, that means to trust other people, to give them the tools, the confidence, and the trust that they require in order to develop themselves and grow. So as a leader, that is our job, to enable others to make decisions, to take actions, and to take ownership of whatever they're involved in. All right, Akbar, you can take the next one. So what is this picture saying?
So blame game. So it is a teamwork always. So the leaders, they take themselves as a part of the team, whereas the managers, they keep themselves out of the team and they blame others if there is any wrong. But the leaders take the responsibility that they are the most one who is responsible, and the leaders always have a plan B. Whenever there is something wrong, they don't blame people. They say, okay, it's wrong. Let's move on and go to the next thing. So
Brilliant,
this is
brilliant answer. So two things I heard. They take responsibility, they share responsibility. So I wrote the sentence down, I read it somewhere and I loved it. Blame protects your ego, but to have a fixing attitude protects the team. So a good leader doesn't worry about protecting the ego. A good leader worries about protecting the team. So they share all the credit, but they take all the blame. And the other thing that I heard beautifully from Akbar was that the mindset towards mistakes. Because when you're blaming people, these people would be very scared to make mistakes. But when you're collaborating with them and coming up with solutions, then the problem doesn't become a problem. The mistake doesn't become a problem, and everybody enters a solution mindset. What about this? So this is the last picture that I'm inviting comments on. Iram, go for it. I was waiting for you to raise your hand.
Hi, Marine. Yeah, I thought I'd let everyone else speak for a change. Basically,
Yes.
sorry,
Sorry,
which
is somebody talking? Okay. All right, go for it, Iram.
Okay, so the limelight is not only for that one person. Like I just wrote, a leader takes ownership of the whole team. They share everything. They're in it together, good or bad. They're not afraid of actually even making mistakes, which is, I think, the biggest quality of a leader is knowing that everyone can make mistakes and own up and find solutions and go forward together.
Yeah, love it, right? I read somewhere that some of the most powerful leaders are the ones that nobody knows about. But their team and their work, everybody knows about. So I love how in the picture, you can't see anybody's face. Everybody is, unified in a way. You don't know which one out of these is the leader, because the leader is not about the spotlight or the limelight, but it's the leader is worried about or concerned about the success of the whole team. Brilliant. Then in this picture, again, you can start putting on the chat. This is just like a little revision of what we've been talking about. Again, a manager or a boss motivates through intimidation, fear. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. But a leader lets the team know that what is your role, and you are an equal participant in the vision and success of this project, and we rely on you. Without you, we're nothing. So automatically we are wired, our brains are wired to get dopamine release when we know that we belong, when we know that we contribute and other people value our contribution. So a true leader understands that and uses that as motivation. And then, like we said, a boss is all about commanding. And this is hardwired into us, right? From our education systems growing up, when we saw this top-down approach, back with a few generations back, this was a very normal way of teaching and even parenting, and of course, leading. But we know now that this doesn't get results because, and you'll see in a little bit, our brain picks it up as threat. So we might survive, but we don't perform. We perform when a person recognizes and asks what are our skills, asks what are our areas where we need to grow and how can he or she support us, asks us questions, doesn't tell us or command us to go find an answer to 2 plus 2, but says, hey, there's a problem here, 2 plus 2. I wonder how you can find the answer to that. So asks, and how he or she asks is also important. Then a boss or a manager is all about, hey, I know, and I expect you to know as well. But a leader will demonstrate, will role model, will show it to you, but then also give you the creative liberty to learn at your own pace, in your own way, and then to, mix your own spices to it and, create something original. A boss, like one of you said, loves to take credit, but a leader gives all the credit. That's where they know that the team has to shine, not him. A leader is as good as the team. Always remember that. So to sum it up, a manager's focus is on task. What is the project? What is the process? How efficient are we? And these are often short-term goals, because we might do well in this project. That approach might work short-term because people are operating out of fear or stress or worry. But in the long term, it will not work. People will get burnt out. They will get overworked, demotivated, and their own skills might never develop. So they might just completely rely on the manager or boss that this person can solve our problems. We just collect our paycheck in the end. So, you don't prep the next round of leaders. But a leader, on the other hand, is focused on people. They're focused on growth, and their vision is long-term. They want to prep leaders. Like somebody just said, a leader is somebody who creates the next round of leaders. So a manager's approach is directing, controlling, monitoring, commanding, problem solving, but a leader's approach is to inspire, empower, and coach. So with that in mind, there's another concept that is very relevant, and I want you to remember that, which is a concept of situational leadership. So there is no right style of leadership. It's all about the best leaders in the world are the most adaptive, and that's a huge component of emotional intelligence. So they adapt their style based on who they're working with and what situation they're working in. So I'm using this model and let's look at that together. So on the horizontal axis, you have your directive behavior. So how much you need to direct the person. There's low and then there's high. We know that directing is also a very important job of the leader. And then on the vertical axis, the long axis, there's supportive behavior. How much do you need to support? So a leader needs to find the right balance between these two, depending on who they're working with. So let's start with the green block. This is when you need to direct less and support less also. So these are your people who are performing well, who are skilled, who have, over time, you've led them in such a good way that they're completely in charge of who they are. So you don't need to direct them a lot and you don't need to support them a lot. You've made them independent and they're on their own and doing really well. Okay. Let's move to the blue block. This is when your direction is low, but you need to support them a lot. So these might be your skilled people who already have the skills, who have the capabilities, but maybe they're not taking initiative. So you need to support them. You need to encourage them to use their capabilities in the right direction. Okay, so a lot of encouragement, motivation comes in this block. Then we move to the yellow spot. This is when your direction is high and your support is also high. So these are people who are still, developing their skills. They're not in there yet. They're still learning new skills. They're developing their skills, but they also lack confidence. They also lack direction. So you as a leader are helping them learn and develop their skills, new skills, develop their existing skills, but also learn to be confident and empowered and independent in the process. So that's when you use coaching. That's when you are connected with them and you're helping them develop their skills by asking them, hey, what is it that I can help you with? How about you? And I would also say that there's a bit of mentoring here as well. So you use a mixture of coaching and mentoring. Coaching is when you ask them questions about what is the best way for them to move forward. And mentoring is when you would give them specific advice and suggestions, specifically in their line of work. Then which area is left? The red one. So that's when your direction is very high. And these are people who are new. So people who are new to the team, people who've moved in from another team, where the support is there, but the direction needs to be higher, much, much higher. Because at this point, you need to tell them, show them the ropes of the environment, the work that has to be done, the task that has to be done. So in this area, it's quite okay for you to direct. So what is the shift here? The shift is to understand the leaders don't use one fixed style. They flex based on the situation. They're very good at reading the situation, understanding the situation, and put on the relevant cap, depending also on the person who is in front of them. What is their learning style? And we're going to look at that in a little bit, how to understand what is the style of the person in front of you. Okay, so we're going to do another group discussion. Let's keep it in the main room. Actually, I'm going to do this in the breakout room again, because it's going to be more interactive. Misha, if you can start putting people into groups of 5 this time.
Okay.
And you can take a screenshot. We're going to spend 5 minutes only on this discussion. So it's okay if not everybody talks, but please, everybody can join the group. You can just observe. You don't have to talk. You can just listen to what is being said. And one person or 2 people from every group can take charge and try to answer this question. So this is the prompt in the top. And then I want you to think about what a manager would do in this situation and what a leader would do in this situation. Sorry, Faiz.
Yeah. So yes, room number 10 here, and quite a bit of consensus on the fact that a manager would sit down. I mean, would sit down definitely with their the staff that's non-performing. But if in case it's towards the end or towards the end of a budget or towards the end of the completion of something, a manager would get angry and they would try and direct. They would try and force. But a leader, what a leader would do would be that they would actually sit down, ask for the problem, try and troubleshoot, and instead of managing, they would direct towards the right space. They would be compassionate, they would be caring, and they would actually try and get the person to work instead of pushing them in the right direction. Thank you, and that's all my group. I just jumped
Lovely.
on the
I mean, some of
bandwagon.
the words that spoke to me were troubleshoot, compassionate, come up with solutions together, move in the right direction, figure out what that right direction is. What is the vision of that right direction? Because it might vary for everybody. So aligning them on that. Brilliant, wonderful answer. Everybody else, give me a reaction. On Zoom, there is right at the bottom, there's an option for reactions, react. So give me a reaction as to how your experience was being in a breakout room and having this discussion, because it gives us an insight into participation. Awesome, I'm getting lots of good reactions. There's some rockets going from Akbar Aziz Barki. Great, awesome. So I would love to hear from one person. We already had, so Sandeep's hand is raised up. Great. What was your insight from the group? Sandeep Shetty. Sandeep, I don't know if you know, but you're on mute. We can't hear you. All right, so we'll go to Amar Gul. I don't know if Sandeep is there. Good afternoon.
Sorry, my group we were unable to have an audio chat. So we just chatted a few seconds and then we left the room. So for me, in my perspective, for the managers, they will delegate you the goal. All right. But when it comes to the leadership, he will allow us to have a goal, and then he will sit with you, discuss an action plan, and he will assist you even in planning how to achieve that goals.
Wonderful. Really, really well said. I'm going to listen to all of you. And so Amar, Akbar, Abdullah, Lukman, and Zohair Raza in that order. But I just want to quickly say, because I read in the chat, some people saying that their group didn't respond. So for next time, if your group doesn't respond, you can come out of that breakout room and we will assign you to a different one. All
May I
right.
say something?
Yes. Who is talking?
It's Saima.
Yes, Saima. Saima, can we follow the order? So Amar, Abdullah, Zohair, and then it can be Saima.
Everyone, you can
Yes,
raise your hand so we can find the order and let you speak.
So Misha, yeah, okay, all right. So let's start. I'll just go on based on who I'm seeing on my screen first. So Amar, please keep your answers under a minute, please.
Okay,
Amar,
so, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Miss Mehreen Owais, it is wonderful for you having taking this session. We discussed in our breakout room that manager creates policies and the leaders helps enforcing those policies. This is not my points. This is the points of my teammates. Manager is the you can say someone who has the laws. He creates the laws, and he needs a leader to help enforce those laws, because leader is someone who uplifts people. And then we further on added that. Have you seen the Lamborghini movie, Lamborghini, the man behind it?
Oh.
Okay, so in that movie, the owner, the CEO, he doesn't know everything. Okay, he doesn't know everything. He's not a specialist, and what he does is he helps bring out the best in all the professionals. He knows that professionals know their work, but they all are confused. So he helps them bring out the best in other people. What do you know? What can we do? What, in your opinion, what should we do? Come on, let's do this. Let's go, like something like that. So in our opinion, a leader is that.
Yeah, brilliant. Really,
Thank
really
you.
good answer. Abdullah, Lukman, then Zohair, then Akbar, then Saima, then Chatra.
Okay. With my group, I learned that a manager tends to focus on controlling resources.
Thank you,
and
Mehreen, for the
optimizing.
opportunity. I was in the group. It's Lars and Charles.
Sorry, Abdullah, Lukman is sharing now, so everybody else can be on mute. Thank you. All right. Sorry, Abdullah, go ahead.
All right. No problem. Thank you, Mehreen, for the opportunity. So I was in a group with Charles and it was ours. And the wonderful point out, in the scenario when a performer is not performing. So the wonderful point brought out was that you need to have empathy to connect with that person, as to and connect with their human side. So once you connect with them and you help them resolve whatever issue they're facing, that is the mark of a true leader, and that is how you gather a team to go well. So that is the take from our. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for that crisp response. All right, Zohair, Raza, thank you for patiently waiting.
No, thank you so much. As Abdullah said, the key word came out was empathy, because the two leaders, they go for the why, because the person who has been performing, there should be a reason, and they give them space, give them support. If it is personal, they give them space to navigate those challenges. If it is work related, they help them, they listen to them, and then they try to support them and give them resources to navigate through challenges. They can manage their workload, they can bring in more team, and then give them as much as support as they can. One other thing which we also discussed is that I felt that there has been a negative connotation to the word manager, because we are seeing manager as a villain here and leader as someone who's a hero. But we also agreed that they are mutually inclusive, because a good leader has to be a good manager also, because management is the technical and more administrative part of the leadership, and the good manager has to be a good leader as well. So we should be mindful of not putting a manager into the villain.
That's a really good point, and I will shift that this way. A manager can just have a leadership mindset instead of a managing mindset. So that's how it is. Awesome. So Akbar.
Thank you for giving me a chance again. I've shared it in the chat as well. And I would request and suggest that if we can go through the chat as well and give the chance to all the rooms, and some people cannot talk. My roommate was Abasin from Uganda. So he was having a power issue and his screen and video was not on. So on his behalf also, he gave very good suggestions. So what the manager will do, he will blame, he will tell his faults, and he will give him instructions, and he will punish him, and he will terminate him or shift him. Whereas the leader will motivate. The leader will take the responsibility that if he's not performing, this is also my fault. And the leader will also try to shift his role or his team so where he can perform better. find out the reasons, personal or professional, and try to solve them. Take the feedback from the person and try to fix them, support him, and give him more chance.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Those were great insights and action points. Saima was supposed to be adding something. I'm not sure if
Yes.
you're there. Yes, go for it.
Thank you so much. It was very insightful, and the difference between it is very important for the leaders to learn new techniques, because performance of the organization and or employee morale also is depend on the leadership style and the culture of the organization. Every manager or leader are responsible to maintain it, or making the culture, organizational culture. So it is very important when there is a toxic leadership style, that definitely hits the employee performance and morale as well. So authentic leadership is very important, and the rational decision making is very important. When you are leader, you need to work on the well-being of the employees, and obviously the first and the core or prime responsibility is how to manage organizational goals or how to achieve organizational goals. But it is also very important that human capital, you are using human capital for acquiring or getting the objectives of the organization or goals. So it is very important to polish them.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Really good points,
Thank you.
Chatra. And then thank you, Abdullah Umar, for being so patient. So we'll hear from Chatra and Abdullah, and those would be the last two shares for this activity. All right,
Thank
Chatra.
you, ma'am. Thank you,
Let's
everyone,
hear from
for
Chatra
giving.
first. I
Yeah,
don't know. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're talking. Okay.
yeah, ma'am. Thank you for everyone. For short and sweet, I want to say something about from our chat. We can say the manager mindset is like a dictating for the common goal, but leader is encouraging. From our chat, we don't have a long chat, but from my our group number 3 chat, we can say manager is like a dictating, but for the common goal, and leaders are encouraging to same common goal. That is the thing. Thank you.
Awesome. Absolutely. Abdullah Umar, thank you for your patience. We'll hear from you. And Amargul, you can put your response in the chat, please.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. What I learned from my team is that already I lost a lot. Because I'm at workplace, I'm still missing a lot today. But what I learned from my teammates is that a manager is someone who tends to focus on controlling resources and optimizing through specific taxes within a specific group or a company, whilst a leader is someone who uses skills and then styles to inspire and then empower individuals or people for a common goal. That is what I learned.
Awesome. Really good insights. And I really encourage you to go read on the chat as well when you get a chance, because there's some really good points there as well. And to sum it up, the one key shift that I want you to walk away from here. Oops, sorry. 1 second. The visual got really messed up for me. Yeah, should be okay now. Strong leaders know when to manage and when to lead. So the shift is to balance both. So this is an answer to Mr. Kizilbash, I believe, who raised the issue that we're not demonizing the word manage here. It's a very important component of leading. So the strong leaders know when to manage and when to lead, and to strike the right balance in the right context. Awesome. So we've dealt with perspective, and now we're going to talk a little bit about people. So a star wants himself to rise to the top, but a leader wants everybody around him to rise to the top. That for me is the key when you're leading or managing people. So some of the priorities that should be there for you as a leader when you're managing other people is to have a growth mindset. So let's look into that. We've gone through growth mindset as a leader many times. You can take a screenshot of this image as well. But the key takeaway lessons I want you to learn from here is that experiment and challenge. Don't just keep doing things because that's how they've always been happening or taught to you. Always challenge the status quo. Experiment new ideas. Be okay to make mistakes. It's quite okay. A leader's job is not to have all the answers. So the expert mentality needs to go out of the window. In fact, as leaders, practice saying, I don't know, but I would like to find out. I would like to know more. So shift from, hey, I know. Stop yourself from saying, I know next time, actually. Make mistakes. Leaders are not, supposed to be on this pedestal where they don't make mistakes and they're perfect. That is going to be your downfall, in fact, as a leader. So be okay to make mistakes and create the culture of making mistakes. So people around you are also okay to make mistakes, because we know that is the best way to learn. Enable and accept feedback. Of course, it's an art and a science of its own, and we'll really look into doing a session just on, Misha, if you can take a note of it, just on the art of how to give and accept feedback. But these are very important components of a leader, to be able to give it in a way that it lands, and to be able to take feedback in a way that you don't get defensive, but you actually use that feedback to do something meaningful with it. And like I said, experiment and take a lot of risks. Otherwise, we will be the blackberries. They didn't take risks. They didn't read into the information and reinvent themselves. And before we knew, they died. There's Kodak as an example as well. So I want you to share in the chat, for about 30 seconds, what's one mindset shift you need to make in your role right now? So based on these, which one do you think is the most important for you? And I'm not asking which one you are already doing. I'm saying, when you read this, what was the first one that made you think, oh, yes, I don't do that enough. I need to do that. So what is that one change that you can prime yourself to make? Think and put it on the chat. I'm going to pause for like 20 more seconds for you to put your answers. And the one thing that you will see when you're reading the chat is when you read other people's responses, and you'll see that everybody has some shift that they need to make. And the first step is to be aware of it. And the second step is to own that. There is no shame in that. All right. Second is emotional intelligence. So when you're speaking and interacting with people, emotional intelligence is something that you really need to prioritize. And I want you to today look at it in two different ways. Are you a thermostat or are you a thermometer as a leader? So this is how I want you to look at it. Just 1 second. I'm going to remove yes, there it is. Okay. So thermometer, what's a thermometer, right? A thermometer reads the environments, and whatever is in the environment shows up in a thermometer, correct? So don't be a leader that is just reflective of the environment, but be a thermostat. A thermostat is something that adjusts the environment and that adjusts to the environment. So a thermometer leader reacts to the environment. If everybody's demoted, they will also be demoted. If everybody's stressed, they will also be stressed. They reflect the emotions, energy, and stress of the team or of the team or the organization. They wait for things to happen before responding. They wait for, they're scared to take risks. When there's a crisis or there's a mood issue or when there's external pressure, they let all of that control them rather than the other way around. And they're not consistent. They might be kind leaders in one environment. They might be really good decision makers in one environment, but in a different environment, they might not have that skill. So how they show up, they're dependent on the environment or the people around them, and they often are quick to blame them as well. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault. It was my team didn't perform well. That's why I didn't perform well. On the other hand, thermostat leaders set the tone and culture intentionally. They intentionally think about what needs to change and take action. They proactively shape the emotional climate and the team energy. They stay grounded and consistent even under stress. So stress or external pressures does not change the kind of leaders that they are. They lead with clarity. They have a strong vision and they have emotional intelligence, which means they know not to unleash their emotions on the team, but to manage not only their own emotions, but other people's emotions as well. So they focus on what they can control and not just what they observe. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there are 4 ways to recharge your emotional intelligence. So increase awareness about yourself. So like I said, get to know your strengths, your limitations, your blind spots, your values. Learn how to manage yourself. So once you know how you react, where you react, what triggers you, what emotions you show, who triggers you, then learn to manage that. And then also get to have self-awareness about others. How do others react? What are their skills? What are their limitations? What is their mindset? What are their personality types? And then learn how to manage them and their emotions based on their authentic learning and behavior styles. And the third component when you're working with people and managing them is cultural intelligence. So what is cultural intelligence? To be able to relate to and effectively manage and lead people from different cultures, backgrounds, religious beliefs, cultural practices, languages, skin colors, genders, ages, neurodiversity spectrum, could be anything. And you have to, as a leader, understand that what works with one group of people may not work for another. Doesn't mean one is right, one is wrong. It's just that they're different. In some cultures, punctuality is, very much in focus. In other cultures, they don't function that way. In some cultures, some language words appear differently, but same language words would be inappropriate in a different culture. In some cultures, we know that, talking to them strictly, efficiently is the culture, is the way forward, but other cultures might be more laid back and informal in their approach. So move beyond awareness. It's not enough to say that, oh yeah, I'm aware this is what happens, but actually think about how you can adapt to that culture and to that specific group that you're working with. Understand their values, their behaviors, their communication styles, so you understand what is the best way to communicate with them. And always be mindful of biases. When we're working with groups and people who are different than us, we might be biased. For example, you might work with a team where majority of them come from the same ethnic background or language as you. So you might automatically start having a bias towards them and against the other people in the team. Maybe you're paying more attention to them. Maybe you give them better, more important projects. So it's very, very important to be mindful of your biases. All right, so that was people. And now we talk about performance. Now, as a leader, when you've really shifted your perspective and when you've really understood how to motivate people and interact with people, automatically your performance as a leader and your team performance would go up. So I want you to do a quick exercise. I want you to take a picture of the image from your phones. So you have to do it with your phone. And then I want you to zoom in. And I want the first person who's done that to come off mute and tell me, what do they notice about the zoomed in picture?
Can I say something?
Yes, Zohair.
So when I zoomed in, I realized that there is no red color in the picture.
Yes,
There's only black and white.
absolutely. However, we are all seeing red in the picture. And let me tell you a really interesting fact about this picture. No red pixels were used in this picture. No red was used. It's just made of whites and blues and blacks. That's it. And it's not an illusion. This is just branding. We have grown up seeing Coca-Cola can in a red color, and the power of branding is so strong that the minute we see this visual, our brains are wired to see the color red, even though the color red was not used here. So if you were to show this picture to a 1-year-old child who's never seen a Coca-Cola bottle, or somebody from some remote country or continent who's never ever laid eyes on a Coca-Cola bottle, they will not see the color red. And you're wondering, what does that have to do with leadership? What that has to do with leadership is how you brand yourself as a leader. Start thinking about what becomes part of your identity. When people see you, when people interact with you, they're primed to think of you as that. So you are your own brand as a leader. So your knowledge, and again, I'm being a little blocked. So let me try and, yes. So your knowledge and insights are unique. There's no reason to compare yourself to other leaders. The knowledge you bring, the insights you bring are really, really key. Then your signature strengths. And put a pin in there because I'm going to come circle back to that. What are these signature strengths of yours and how do you know them? Of course, one way is to be very aware of them, be very mindful of when you're actually acting them out. Second is to get feedback. And then the third, I will tell you in a little bit. Your unique experiences. In my experience, the kind of experiences I add are uniquely mine. There's no other, there might be another Marine out there in the world. Of course there are, but there's no other Marine like the one I am, because my unique experiences as a child, as an adult, as a leader, the kind of country I was born in, the kind of countries I lived in, my skin color, my religion, my culture, my practices, everything adds and makes me who I am uniquely. So bring those experiences to the table and ask yourself, how can I add that to create my own leadership brand? And of course, the most important, your unique ethics and values. What are they and how do they become a compass to your behavior, which then lead to yourself becoming you as a leadership brand? So I said, I'm going to tell you what do I mean by how else do you know what your signature strengths are? And one way of doing that is looking at the disc lens. So this is this really amazing way to look at who you are. And I'm going to explain that to you through 4 different birds. There's the eagle on the right side. There's the peacock. Then there's the sparrow or the dove, and then there's the owl. Okay, so let's look at that. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna move the your faces, how they show up on my screen are blocking some of the text. So I'm trying to maneuver that. All right. Now it's good. Okay. So what an eagle does is, so if, and I want to, now as I'm talking, when I'm done talking, there's this slide and the next one. I want you to put in the chat which style you associate most with, which style you think you are. So eagles are bold decision makers. They thrive under pressure. They love to take risks. They have goals, and they set goals, and they know how to go take those goals. They're very direct. They're very decisive. Another word that used to be used for this style was dominating, but we don't use that word anymore because it could have different cultural connotations. So we use the word direct. They're usually very, very fast in making decisions. And usually these people thrive in leadership positions. Then the peacock, which is the influence in DISC, so D-I-S-C, I is for influence. These are people-oriented individuals. They're enthusiastic. They have a lot of energy. They're great at maintaining team morale, team motivation. They're very good at building relationships. They inspire everybody, and they collaborate with everybody. Then there's your sparrow or a dove. As the bird shows, these people are calm, reliable, they're great listeners as leaders. They love to involve everybody. Collaboration is very important for them. They're naturally very good at winning people's trust, and they like the environment to be very stable, and they usually avoid conflict. Then it's your owl, which is your C style people. Conscientiousness. These people are all about information, data, structure, organized, planned. I'm very high on C. I'm also high on S and I. So my natural style is CSI. They're very good planners. They're very organized. These are the people. So security professionals are usually C style people. They're also high on S style because of the empathy component. Now, DISC is these 4 styles, but extended DISC says that you're never one style. You're a combination of styles. So now think about which combinations do you think you are, and write it in that order. So in my case, I'm the strongest in C, then S, then I, and then so I would be a CSI. So write that. Now, of course, this is just your guesswork. But there are assessments that I am a master trainer of, and I can do those. If this really interests you, come and connect with me. I have a very, very special and big discount for anybody who comes through this platform, and you can actually find out what your style is. How does that help? Because then you're not doing guesswork. You're not on autopilot, but you're making intentional decisions. So knowing your extended DISC helps you be more self-aware. It helps you, the report that gets generated, it highlights a huge list of strengths, but it also highlights development areas that could be your blind spots and that give you an insight into what to change. It helps you understand what your natural communication style is and what is the style that you have to change or you have changed. So the report also tells you what your natural style is and how you change according to different environments. Then it helps you map out your emotional intelligence, how you react in different pressure situations, how you respond in terms of stress. And of course, it gives you an insight into your core competencies like decision-making, time management, delegation, teamwork, and all of them. So quick activity, I'm mindful of the time, but quickly, I hope that everybody can stay just about 5 to 10 minutes extra because I have just a small other concept to cover. But I want you to look at these 4 individuals. There's Oprah Winfrey. There is Steve Jobs. There is, who can tell me who else there is? There's Satya Nadella, Microsoft, and there's
Nelson Mandela.
Perfect. Awesome. So I want you to put on the chat, what do you think, which individual goes through each style? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that. See, there's one individual for every style. Just give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right. So it's getting dark on my side, so I had to turn the lights on for my office. All right. Let's see who's right, who's wrong. Okay, so raise your hands on the screens if you think that Oprah should be in D. All right. Should Oprah be in I? Actually, yes. So Oprah should be in, I mean, I've never done her assessment, but my guesswork, so you can guess about your teammates depending on how they behave. She's a motivator. She's an influencer. She inspires people. She's energetic. She loves interacting with people. People go on her show and interact with her and get very, very inspired. So she's I. Who do you think is D? Anybody can come off mute and tell me.
Steve Jobs.
Yes,
Steve Jobs.
absolutely, absolutely. Who do you think is S?
I think Mandela is INS.
Yes, very good. And who do you think would be a C style?
The Microsoft guy.
Yes, Satya Nadella, exactly, because he's all about data and numbers. Now, I'm saying one style because everybody has one dominant style. That is the leading style for them. And then, yes, they could have other styles as a combination as well. Awesome. You guys are really good at it. So leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those who you are in charge of. All right. So, when you're taking care of people, when you're working with them, when you are working with people who are high in D, whose more dominant style is D, then you make sure that the way to keep them focused is to give them goals, to give them positions where they can make decisions and lead. When you're working with people who are higher in I style, then bring energy with them, be engaging, give them lots of opportunity to motivate people to work in teams, because these people don't like to work alone. When you're working with people who are high in S style, then give them stability, give them time, because they like to collaborate, they like to take things slow, they don't like conflict, they don't like to be rushed, they like the stability. So instead of giving them rushed timelines or showing them this is how I need you to do it, give them time to think about their decisions. And when you're working with high C style, be detailed, be logical, give them options, give them information, because they cannot thrive if you don't give them information. So this is just a quick snapshot of how the DISC styles, getting to know about them, help you work and lead and work with, lead and manage different people and teams better. All right, so I promise you I'll finish this in 5 minutes. While we're at the subject, there's another important concept to remember. So let me get into a little bit of neuroscience behind it first. Our brain's main organizing principle works in a way that whenever we're in a situation and we experience something, how we feel about it is it could either make us feel like we're getting reward, or a threat. So reward state, we move towards it. Threat state, we move away from that. Okay. And in our brains, the reward state is weak and the threat state is stronger. And if you think about it from an evolutionary point of view, it is important for us to have that to survive. So think about it, if you were a man of the caves and a bear came in front of you, and then you also see a beautiful tree of grapes and you're hungry. Your brain will feel reward because of the grapes and the dopamine that gets relieved, but threat because of the danger that the bear is giving you. So the threat has to be stronger for you to run away. Because if you start going towards the grapes, the bear is going to eat you alive. So that's why the threat has to be stronger. And in the modern day now, the threat obviously is still stronger. So if I, praise you for 60 minutes, I say wonderful things about you, and then right in the end, I tell you that you guys all were terrible and I did not have a good time engaging with you, and I shut the session. You're not going to remember the 60 minutes of praise that I said about you, but you're going to remember that 1 minute of criticism way more and way stronger. And we all know that. We've experienced that, right? Give me a reaction if you've experienced that. So what that does is that as the threat in the environment increases, when we feel threatened or unsafe, our cognitive capability, our creativity, collaboration, trust, everything goes down. Okay, so the idea is that as leaders, you need to understand not only what kind of environment you are working in, but also the kind of environment you're creating for other people, for your teams. Are you creating a safe environment where they feel valued, where they don't feel judged, where they feel that collaboration exists? If you do that, your team is going to perform better. And I'm going to give you, this is the last slide, I'm going to give you a quick model to help you understand how to do that. And hopefully in a future session, we'll look at this model in a lot more detail. But right now, I'm just explaining it to you on a very superficial level. This is called the SCARF model. It's by the Neuro Leadership Institute. And what they talk about is that there are 5 elements that help you feel safe so that your productivity and performance can go up. And if you want to read on the person who created that, he's called David Rock, and he's written a book called Your Brain at Work, which is a fabulous book. So get that. And if you read it, I'd love to connect with me on LinkedIn. Misha, if you could put my LinkedIn link on the chat, please. And I would love to hear your thoughts about how you found the book. So the 5 elements: status. Your people need to feel respected and valued, like they have something to contribute. You value their judgment, you value their skills, you value them. and you respect them. And there are very simple ways of doing that. For example, if I just remember, if I walk into a room and I remember somebody's name, they feel respected. Oh, that this person took the effort to remember my name. If I go in and I say, hey, I would love to hear your thoughts. Like today, I heard from all of you. I gave you 4 or 5 opportunities to share. So you feel respected and you feel valued. Second, certainty. C for certainty. Human brains crave information. We want certainty. We want to know what's happening. So don't keep your team in the dark. Give them information, share information with them, whether that's praise, credit, or how they can develop their skills, or what kind of challenges are coming up. Don't keep them in the dark. Give them lots of opportunities to be in the loop. Third is autonomy. Again, human brain is wired to crave choices and control. Even 2 to 3-year-old children, they want control. They don't like it when you take that control away. I remember when my kids, I still have a 6-year-old, and I cannot decide what she would wear to a birthday party or anywhere, as a matter of fact. She craves to choose her outfit herself. So ask yourself, as leaders, are you dictating and deciding everything for your team, or are you giving them choices and control? Relatedness. Again, we are social animals. Why do we say that? Because we have this intrinsic need to belong to a group. So if your team feels that they're not part of something, that they're not contributing, or your biases are making them feel that they're not part of it, or you're leaving them out of important decisions or projects, you're not going to be a very good leader. So ask yourself, how do I make everybody feel like they belong? And extended disc is a really good way to understand that about somebody. So I've had leaders who have asked me to come in and do extended disc behavior analysis with their team, so they can understand what is the best way to make those people feel like they belong. And finally, fairness. Again, we are wired for justice. We need to feel that we get the same credit and opportunities that everybody else gets. So again, bias has a huge role to play in this. Make sure that you've managed your biases. If bias is an important topic, do put it in the chat and we can talk about it in a lot more detail in future sessions. But ask yourself, are you being fair to your team members in every possible way? Are they given the opportunities to shine? Do you trust them? Do you give them opportunities to showcase their skills and work on their development areas? So, going forward, this could be kind of a great compass for you, and it's a great way for you to map your leadership skills against. So finally, a walkaway lesson that I want you to say is, a leader is not only the person who leads, but a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, role models, shows the way, and sometimes even paves the way for other people to be on. All right, so that's the end. I'd love for you to put on the chat. And I'm okay to stay 5 minutes, 10 minutes more. If you want to come on mute, share your insight from today, that would be great. And anybody who cannot stay, you're very welcome to leave at this point. And thank you so much for joining. So I'd love to hear from you. Put it in the chat, and anybody who wants to come off mute to share your insights from today, that would